And good day, I'm Jackson Mitchell here from BNHQ. We are learning more information as we come on the air with breaking news. 3 are dead in a Madison, Wisconsin Christian school shooting. This was, I believe, on the west side of Madison, Wisconsin at the Abundant Life Christian School, which is a K through 12 private school. We are continuing to get more details here. I'm Jackson Mitchell, joining you here from Brooklyn News headquarters. It's been a rainy day here in Brooklyn, but it's been a sad day for others in Madison, Wisconsin. Throughout the next 30 minutes until we are expected to hear a press conference from authorities in Madison, Wisconsin, we are going to be breaking down, or I'm going to be breaking down the latest details in all of this. We heard a press conference earlier, but for now, I want to bring you through this situation, what has all occurred, and catch you up to what we know right now. That is, at about 10:57 a.m. Central Time, there was police were alerted to an active shooting event that occurred at the Abundant Life Christian School that serves about 400 students. Officers around the county responded to this call, and the chief of police pointed out, the chief of police of Madison, Wisconsin, which is Sean Barnes, pointed out during a little bit of kind of a presser earlier, saying that officers were trained for active shooting events similar to these that have been occurring oftentimes too often. About 2 weeks ago, it's now going forward here now. It's been said that the shooter was in fact a juvenile and is believed to have attended Abundant Life Christian School. 7 persons were transported, and it said that three are dead. That includes the shooter. It said that police did not kill the shooter as well. So that brings us to the situation. Did the shooter commit suicide, or was there kind of this other question as to, was there some type of security on inside the building when this all took place that was armed and ended up shooting that suspect that's believed to be a juvenile? Let me give the update here. I want to give an update on the injuries because I know that information is continuing to come in. But what we do know right now is, again, 3 are deceased and 9 in total were injured. So that's 6. Apologies here. So 6 are injured and 3 are deceased. I want to give an updated number here. So 6 injured, 3 deceased in this shooting as we continue to bring you breaking news updates. We do have a live shot at where this presser is expected to occur in just moments, and we want to take you live out there. And I did not realize that my thing said Madison, Wisconsin. Oh, that's because I just changed it. I apologize. I want to take you live out there right now. That is a live look at where this presser is soon to happen in Madison, Wisconsin. Having a few issues, but we're working on getting that fixed. Let me move this around here. Apologies for that. Maybe here will change. There we go. A little bit of a change there. Sorry, just had to move things around to make it look better. But that's a live look in Madison, Wisconsin, at fire station, I believe, number 14, where a presser is expected to be held. Parents can be reunited with their students that attended Abundant Life Christian School at Dean Clinic at 1821 South Staunton Road for reunification there. Again, 3 deceased and 6 are injured. That comes after a presser that it was said that 5 were deceased, is what the PO said during the presser. I want to play that presser in its entirety here for just a moment.
So I'm going to tell you what I know. I'll answer any questions that I can. There'll be a secondary briefing that our PIO will let you know about, okay? Today, around 10:57 a.m., our officers were responding to a call of an active shooter at the Abundant Life Christian School here in Madison. When officers arrived, they found multiple victims suffering from gunshot wounds. We train on this almost quarterly. The last time we trained on this as commanders was approximately 2 weeks ago. The protocols are simple. Stop the killing, stop the dying, find out who's doing this. And the officers did that, and they did that adamantly. We had officers from around the county and around the state that came in support of this particular incident. Officers located a juvenile who they believe was responsible for this deceased in the building. Additionally, the officers began administering life-saving efforts to anyone who was wounded and making sure that those persons were transported. What we know is that a total of about 7 persons were transported from the scene to area hospitals for treatment. We know that at least 3 people have lost their lives, including a juvenile person. I don't have any other information about those persons who have lost their lives, and I'm not going to release that until we have, of course, spoken with family members and ensuring that they are fully aware of this tragic, tragic scene that occurred today. I want to thank all of the law enforcement partners and community members that came out to help. Our friends at the ATF. I've gotten calls from my friends at the FBI.
So that is what Sean Barnes, the Madison, Wisconsin chief of police, said hours ago now, as we have been watching the situation this play out, this entire scene there. And you're taking a look there live at a view from KMSP and Madison, Wisconsin. So again, ultimately some sad news to hear. Again, 3 students at this school, and that it does include the shooter, who is believed to be a student, have died from injuries. I actually want to correct myself there. I don't. 2 are deceased. 3 are deceased. That does include the shooter, but it's unknown if they are students. Correcting myself there because that information unconfirmed here. I was speculating and then went to apologize for that. So 6 injured and 3 deceased, 1 being the shooter. It's unknown if a teacher is deceased, an adult is deceased. That is telling that the chief of police inside that conference. I'm not sure if he said it in that little clip we played, but he said something to the nature of that he wasn't going to identify them or say them anything by name just because of how recently this incident had occurred. Again, this all occurred at about 10:57 a.m. at the 11 o'clock hour Central Time when this entire incident broke out here. So here in about 20 minutes now, we are going to hear from authorities and providing an update on what may have happened here. Now, we do know as well that more than 400 students attend this school. It is a kindergarten through 12th grade school, and it's been explained to me that there are kind of different buildings similar to public schools, but it's a little bit different than that since it is in fact a private school. Now, the Associated Press has recently reported that the police recovered a 9mm pistol. Again, that's what the AP is now reporting. The school has just asked for prayers, saying, quote, "Prayers requested today. We had an active shooter incident at ALCS. We are in the midst of following up. We will share information as we are able. Please pray for our Challenger family," end quote there. That is what school staff posted on the Abundant Life Christian School Facebook page. Hundreds of commenters have already offered their prayers, and their prayers do really belong with those families of students just involved in this situation, but also families that have students that were injured and even killed by this also. Sad news to be covering, I should say. Now, a person on WMTV, which is one of those stations there in Wisconsin, said a person there, Jose Diaz de Leon, who lives nearby and attends the adjacent city church, said, quote, "I didn't know that there were that many squad cars in Madison. We saw a few guys with long guns. They went into the school with the dog." He also said, quote, "Later on, I saw groups of kids coming out of the school into the church sanctuary." Now, Delon, as you said, he said that there were some police going in with long guns, something that we've often seen when we've watched these incidents occur and watched them all play out. And it ultimately is so sad to watch play out as we continue to provide updates here again. 2 killed, 6 injured, and the shooter is in fact dead from all of this. So it's unknown if it was suicide or what it was, but we are continuing to watch this play out. I believe we're also might be able to get a live look at inside kind of that scene and what that looks like there. So that's a live look at the press conference, but I do also believe we have a live look where this all has occurred. Again, 3 dead in a Madison, Wisconsin school shooting. I want to see if we can, in fact, go back to where we were here to watch. I'm learning that this feed that we are fixing to play for you is also not live and was recorded at an earlier time. So this feed we are kind of pulling up for you all right now and I'm fixing to show you is also not live. And I'm wondering if I can just do that right this moment. So this feed that you are soon to see and are looking at right now is also not live. And I want to apologize for that saying. Okay, if you are with me right now, I want to apologize for that. Some technical difficulties, not sure what exactly happened there, but that feed you're taking a look at on your screen there is from just moments ago outside of this reunification center and outside of the school there, as this all in fact did occur. So we will continue watching that feed. So again, that feed there showing what exactly happened there just earlier outside of the reunification center. I do believe so is where that feed is in fact coming from. Running you back through the situation, what we know right now is that around 10:57 a.m. this morning, a student, an alleged student of the Abundant Life Christian School opened fire using a 9mm pistol, according to the Associated Press, and has now killed 2 people. It was later learned that 6 others were injured, and the shooter was also found dead and was not killed by police, opening up a number of other questions. Was it done by suicide, which we have often seen in a lot of these situations? Either police kill them or they ultimately, before the police get there or why the police are trying to get them, they kill themselves, which many call a cowardly move on the shooter's part. It's unknown what the motive of the shooter was at this time. Again, I really haven't mentioned that because it is so early in the investigation of what all occurred. Why did this happen? When did it happen? The 5 W's and the 1 H. And that is what I'm doing. Reporters are doing, trying to get that information out as to what occurred here and what needs to be done going forward. I want to note, I believe there's also some type of and I wasn't even typing. Wikipedia, not too reliable source, but you know what I mean, what I'm going to be using here. Wikipedia keeps a list of kind of school shootings that have occurred so far in 2024. And I was going to get that to pull up, but not going to pull up. It looks like it. We are also following the AP, who is now reporting that that parents are still awaiting more details about the shooting. That is what the AP is reporting there, saying that Bethany Hyman rushed to the school later. The school that her daughter attended. As soon as her mom, who lives near the school, called her about the shooting, Hyman said she was able to briefly FaceTime with her daughter, so she knows she is safe. An interesting story to hear there. What I'm going to do here, quick regroup. We are going to come back in about 2 minutes here from a break, regroup, and get ready for this press conference that's going to be happening in some moment. You're watching Brooklyn News' coverage as this incident really goes on here. You're watching Brooklyn News coverage in Madison, Wisconsin, of a shooting that has taken place just moments ago. We're back in a few moments. And welcome back to Brooklyn News' coverage. Following this Madison, Wisconsin Christian school shooting, we can take a live look here, I believe. They're at the scene where we are expected to get a press conference to come any moment now. Apologies about that because, okay, technical difficulties with that feed there. I want to apologize about that. Let me work on that feed. This looks like trying to get different things to work out for you all. So we were talking earlier in kind of a regroup here, what occurred, what we know, what we can say, what we're asking questions about right now. Is we have about 11 minutes until this press conference is to come. At about 10:57 a.m., officers around the county responded to a supposed juvenile student shooting using a 9mm pistol, according to the Associated Press, at inside the Abundant Life Christian School, which is a kindergarten through 12th grade school. And at that point, when police arrived, 6 were injured and 3 were killed, the shooter including himself there. So that is something to note as we go forward here. We're working on getting a feed inside that Madison, Wisconsin, not inside, but rather at the press conference that is to come very soon here. And we are going to work to get that. And as soon as we do get that, we'll bring that to you here. Okay, we have a feed now. Should be getting a feed any moment now. Stand by with us and we will have a feed inside where we are expected to hear a press conference. But as I was saying, just regrouping what we know, what we can say, what we're asking questions about. Right now, it's unknown exactly what type of weapon is being used, although the Associated Press reports that the weapon used was, in fact, a 9mm pistol. But Brooklyn News, of course, unable to independently confirmed that. So we are standing by for an update to come from authorities here in just about 10 minutes ago. Chief Sean Barnes, in a conference earlier, said that nearly 2 weeks ago, officers had received training for incidents just like this one experienced today. Let's take a live look back outside in Madison, Wisconsin, where we are expected to hear from authorities that will provide an update on this incident there. So that is at fire station number 14 inside Madison, Wisconsin. So we're going to watch that. And I want to check my sources here for a quick update and take a break from talking. I'm not sure if we're seeing an update from the city of Wisconsin, who has been one of them that has kind of provided updates throughout the day, kind of what's going on, kind of that kind of situation, and providing update for, which was at 12:48 p.m. that they clarified that only 3 are deceased, going back on their legal earlier. Live look there in Madison, Wisconsin. No, let's see if we can't turn it up and listen in here for a second. Kind of what's going on in that building. Maybe they're organizing different things as soon as this update is to come very soon. Okay. We're just going to be kind of standing by here to see where this goes going forward. A live look there in Madison, Wisconsin now. 2 killed, 6 injured, and the shooter is dead. Analysts that I've been watching all day just has questions, what was the motive behind the shooter? What caused the shooter to even want to do this? That type of question has been asked throughout the day, kind of what's going on? What don't we know? What can we get information on? That a lot of it is to come in this press conference that we are soon to watch, but also a lot of it is to come in the weeks, days, months, and weeks ahead as to what's going on. The social media path of this person, of this suspected juvenile shooter. It's also unknown if it was a girl or a boy, which is a good question here because kind of got me off track here, but a girl or a boy because of the fact that women, there has been few women that have been involved in these situations. It's usually men that are the ones that have been found guilty of shooting up schools and guilty of school shootings, I should say, to be more firmly. I want to go back though, as we were waiting for this, and I just want to go back and make sure we're constantly giving information here. Sean Barnes, the Madison, Wisconsin. Let me stand by here. Sean Barnes, the Madison, Wisconsin chief of police, provided an update a little bit earlier on this entire situation and what was happening. That was probably a few hours ago now. And I just want to recap that and let's listen in here for just a moment. This was earlier in Madison, Wisconsin.
So I'm going to tell you what I know. I'll answer any questions that I can. There'll be a secondary briefing that our PIO will let you know about, okay? Today, around 10:57 a.m., our officers were responding to a call of an active shooter at the Abundant Life Christian School here in Madison. When officers arrived, they found multiple victims suffering from gunshot wounds. We train on this almost quarterly. The last time we trained on this as commanders was approximately 2 weeks ago. The protocols are simple. Stop the killing, stop the dying, find out who's doing this. And the officers did that, and they did that adamantly. We had officers from around the county and around the state that came in support of this particular incident. Officers located a juvenile who they believe was responsible for this deceased in the building. Additionally, the officers began administering life-saving efforts to anyone who was wounded and making sure that those persons were transported. What we know is that a total of about 7 persons were transported from this scene to area hospitals for treatment. We know that at least 3 people have lost their lives, including a juvenile person. I don't have any other information about those persons who have lost their lives, and I'm not going to release that until we have, of course, spoken with family members and ensuring that they are fully aware of this tragic, tragic scene that occurred.
Okay, that was a little bit ago, a few hours now ago. Chief Sean Barnes there of Madison, Wisconsin, providing an update on the entire situation. Now, during that conference, they did say that 5 were deceased and 5 were, in fact, injured. That is now said to be untrue, and a new update has been provided that claims that from the Madison department, the city of Madison, Wisconsin, providing kind of an update here, saying that only two were injured, 3 if you want to include the shooter. I'm sorry, that 2 are deceased and 6 are injured, and the shooter is also dead. So that makes 3 deceased if you want to round up this entire scene and put that together there. So that is kind of what we know right now. We know any moment now, here in about 3 minutes actually, I won't say any moment now. In about 3 minutes, we are going to be standing by for a press conference to come from authorities that will provide an update on this entire incident. Again, this all occurring at about 10:57 a.m. at the Abundant Life Christian School, which is a private K-12 school that serves over 400 students in Madison, Wisconsin here. So we're standing by for a press conference to come from authorities. So soon, authorities are providing an update on the shooting that has left 3 dead in Madison, Wisconsin. We're kind of recapping here constantly, just providing an update on what we know right now. I want to go to our sources here and see if we have any new updates. And at this point, it does not appear that we do. We may be having some technical difficulties involving over on some things. I'm sorry, but I don't think it's affecting anything that we're watching right now. No big new update on things when it comes to where things stand right now when we talk about the shooter's motive and things about that nature. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people are still questioning. What is the motive of the shooter? What caused the shooter to want to do this? Killing 2 people, possibly even himself. That's still unclear. We know the shooter is dead, but we do not know how, and injuring 6 others. So that's going to be something to follow going forward here, and what that really looks like. An interesting story to be following here any moment now. A press conference to come from authorities. We are going to sneak in another 2-minute break when we come back. If that press conference does occur, we'll sneak you right out, dump right out that break and bring you right here. But for now, we are going to sneak in another 2-minute break when we return, recapping this entire situation and what we know at this hour.
fire chief to be in, and then we'll have everyone come in to do this. If you weren't at the scene, what we are going to do when it comes time for questions is we're going to have each outlet task one. Dylan here will essentially point from left to right our way, and then each reporter again will be granted one question, and then we'll have them answer that way.
So just raise your hands. We're going to answer questions. So
Yeah.
yes. Any questions right now? We'll just wait for the.
How far is the chief?
It's supposed to be here any second. So it's going to be Police Chief Barnes, and then Fire Chief Carbon, and then Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway, and then County Executive Melissa Agard. And then we'll take questions after that. All right. See you in a minute.
The 2025 Kia Sorento, an impressive
Welcome back. We're going to jump out of that because the police chief has just arrived and is now speaking. Let's listen in here.
Stances. I'll just give you a minute to your live streams or do whatever you need to do. And while you're doing that, my name is Chief Sean Barnes, SHONBARNES. I'm currently the Chief of Police for the Madison Police Department. I'll be providing a brief update of the school shooting that we had today in Madison. There is some information that we're not going to release because it's still an ever-evolving situation. You'll hear from some of our representatives from our city and from our county, and behind me are a lot of people who came together today to make sure that the day ended well and that everyone else was safe. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and start my remarks. Today truly is a sad day for Madison and for our country. It is a day that I believe will live in our collective minds for a very, very long time. Here are the details. Today at 10:57 a.m., our team was called to the Abundant Life Christian School in reference to an active shooter. We know that 3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school. At this time, we're not releasing the age or gender of the student or any other identifying remarks about the student. 2 other people have died. That died were a teacher and a teenage student. 6 other people were injured. 2 students are now in critical condition in the hospital, and these injuries are considered life-threatening injuries. 4 students are also at other area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. But these are just the physical injuries that we know about. We know that this was the middle of the day of a school day, and so there will be other injuries that we'll have to face for a very, very long time. And we're going to do everything we can as a community to heal those injuries as well. Many of you have asked me about the why of this. Why did this happen? What do we know? What was the motivation? I do not know. But I will tell you this, our detectives are working hard in the investigative process to find out as many answers as we can so that we can further prevent these things from happening, not only in this community, but in other communities around our country. I think we can all agree that enough is enough. And we have to come together to do everything we can to support our students, to prevent press conferences like these from happening again and again and again. The school building itself is clear. We have cleared the school. There's no other threats or danger to the community. We're in the process now of what we call reunification. And what that simply means is making sure that every student that was in the school is present and accounted for and returned to their loved ones. This usually takes a while, but we have practiced, unfortunately, and practice, and that's why we're able to reunify students with their parents within hours of a school shooting. The reunification is taking place at the Dean Clinic on Stoughton Road, and I certainly thank them for their help. Again, we need our public to find an alternate route. If that is your normal way home as we get closer to the end of the day, please be patient or find another route home. We're currently processing the scene. We're interviewing those who may have been witnesses, and we're obtaining search warrants to get additional information. And lastly, I want to just say thank you to everyone who's standing behind me, the organizations and agencies that they represent, the men and women of the Madison Police Department and Dane County Sheriff's Office who selflessly ran into a building not knowing what they were going to encounter. Many of you know this about me, but I started my professional career, if you will, as a public school teacher back in 1997. And I taught public school for 4 years. It was one of the greatest joys of my life before becoming a police officer. And I can tell you what a special place our schools are. With that being said, we owe it to our community to do everything possible to ensure that it's not only a special place, but a safe place as well. And we're going to continue to do that. So we ask for your patience as information is coming in. We will do the best that we can to bring you accurate and timely information, but we want to make sure that our public knows that we're working extremely hard on this particular incident. There are a lot of people involved, and certainly we're going to come together as a community. I'd like to bring up at this time Police Fire Chief Chris Carvin.
Thank you, Chief Barnes. Before I start, the only thing I can say is this is not a place that any fire chief or any one of us would ever want to be, and I can't believe I'm standing here today talking about this incident. The fire department is a part of this community, much like all of the folks standing up here with me today. Our hearts are with and our arms are around everybody impacted today and everybody within our community. With that, I won't repeat the details shared by Chief Barnes, but I will share with you the fire department activity for today. Much like Chief Barnes mentioned, at 10:57, we were also dispatched with Engine 5 and Medic 5 to the same location. Throughout the course of the incident, we responded with 5 engine companies, 4 ladder companies, 15 ambulances. I would like to take a moment and share our gratitude for our county partners throughout a multitude of EMS and fire agencies that joined us in the response today. We also had 11 off-duty chief officers that came in on this response, so it was a tremendous response from the fire department. We transported 4 patients to St. Mary's. We transported 3 patients to the University of Wisconsin hospitals. On the arrival of our crews, I can say my gratitude to our membership for what they did and their selfless actions today. It's hard for me to place into words what they ran into as well. They did that immediately, they did that selflessly, and within a course of 15 minutes from the first transport to the last transport, all the patients were on their way to the hospital. So to our membership within the Madison Fire Department and within all the emergency services, my gratitude, my recognition of the work that goes into this, the training that went into this, that again, we had hoped we would never have to put into practice. One more time on behalf of the Madison Fire Department, our hearts are with you, our arms are around you, and we will be with you throughout the duration of this. So at this point, I'll step aside, turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you, Chiefs, both of you. This is an incredibly sad day for our community. As you've heard, there is no danger to the community at this time, but our entire community has been impacted by this tragic incident. On behalf of the Common Council and the City of Madison staff, I want to offer our heartfelt condolences to the victims and families and to the whole Abundant Life community. Our focus now is on supporting them and supporting the victims and their families. And we will continue to do that through the coming days and weeks. I also want to thank our first responders, the police, fire, the medical staff, for their quick action and their life-saving efforts. As you've heard already, this is a whole of government response. It is not just police and fire. It is not just City of Madison. We have folks from all around the county. We have folks from multiple agencies engaged in both the initial immediate response and the ongoing support, and will be engaged for days and weeks to come. I also want to thank the White House and the governor and others in the federal government and state government for reaching out to offer their support and help. We will be drawing on resources as needed going forward. But the most important thing right now is to make sure that we are centering the victims and their families, and that we are doing whatever we can to support them and to help them heal, and to lift our entire community up through this difficult incident. I am on record that I think we need to do better in our country and our community to prevent gun violence. And I hoped that this day would never come in Madison. It is not something that any mayor, any fire chief, any police chief, any person in public office ever wants to have to deal with. And so I will ask our entire community and our entire country to do whatever we can to make sure that no public official ever has to stand in this position again. And now I'll invite the county executive to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, our community is reeling from the heartbreaking and senseless tragedies at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison. As a mom who received a text from her son at a high school here in the city of Madison wondering if he was safe, I can tell you, this hits you in the gut. Our community is better than this. Our country is better than this. It cannot continue. My heart goes out to the victims and their families and the students and the educators, and the list goes on and on. Every one of us is affected by this unimaginable and unacceptable violence that has hit our community today. School community. The Sheriff's Department, the Department of Emergency Management, Department of Human Services have all been on the front lines. My phone has been ringing from people across our state and our nation asking what it is that they can do to help our community. And right now, it is our time to be committed to supporting this school, these students, and these families, and our first responders who went into that building during this devastating time. We must work closely with our law enforcement officers and first responders, mental health professionals, community leaders, and policymakers to ensure that we are taking care of one another. No community should ever have to endure such a tragedy. And my administration is going to do everything that it can to provide assistance to those who have experienced this devastating loss, and also do everything that we can to prevent such tragedy from occurring. To all of those who are grieving in our community, please know that you're not alone. Dane County stands with you. We're here to support you in any way possible. Please reach out and ask for help. The governor's office, as well as the mayor's office, and I will continue to update the public as we learn more. But please understand, there are many things that we cannot share with you right now. This is an active investigation. This is an active case. The SSM Health Clinic near the intersection of Buckeye Road and Stoughton Road is the reunification center. I know that that has been out, but we need to make sure that folks know where it is that they can go to be reunited with their children. Again, in the coming days, we are going to make sure that we are supporting those that have been most impacted by this. But folks, reach out, ask for help. This does not need to be the reality of our community. Thank you.
All right, we'll start over here with questions. Just raise your hands.
Tell us, how did this unfold? Can you give us a bit of a timeline, how your officers got into the building?
Sure. We received a call at approximately 10:57 a.m. Someone from the school called 911 to report that there was an active shooter. That means something different to us, obviously. There's different protocols that go out, tone alerts even, so that even if officers are busy doing other things, they respond. One of the things that I do want to note is that our training center is about 3 miles from there.
Okay, we are going to continue listening into that press conference as we are now hearing questions. If I hear anything that's notable, we'll listen back in there for a moment. But new news that we've kind of just learned here is that a teacher was in those killed in this incident. A teacher and a student and a teenage student were those deceased in this incident. So a teacher and a student and a teenage student, as well as the killer, all in the 3 said to be deceased in this incident, as well as the 6 injured. Some are said to be in life-threatening condition as the
someone that has to deal
police,
with
I'm sorry, not police,
what happened today.
as
And
the
so
police
we want
chief
to make sure
did
that we
explain it. I
make sure
apologize
that
for
we
that.
have as much
I want to
cooperation as
listen
we
in
can.
back here for just a few
And
more
we'll see
moments
about why he
into
has
Sean
stated
Barnes there,
before. I
answer
don't
some
know why.
questions
And I
from
felt like
the press there.
if we did know
Major
why,
news made there.
we
A
could stop
teacher
these things
and
from
a
happening.
teenage
But what I
student
will tell
were
you,
among those killed,
as soon
as
as
well
we
as
are
the
done
shooter.
with the
Let's
investigation
listen in
and
here
the
for a few
information
more
that we
moments.
uncover that will not compromise the safety of anyone involved or compromise the confidentiality of any of these children that are involved, we'll tell you. I just ask for your patience.
All right, over there, sorry, go right ahead.
Chief, what kind of gun was used today?
We know it was a handgun. We know a handgun was recovered.
All right, sit down right there.
Was the shooting confined to one classroom, or did it spread out throughout multiple?
We know it was confined to one space. I do not know if it was a classroom or a hallway. One of the things that we've gotten very good at, certainly different from in my day, is that if you do not need to be in a crime scene, you do not need to go to a crime scene. And so the crime scene and those persons who were involved, they have that crime scene locked down. I did not go or enter into that crime scene. But if you can imagine, most schools, the students go together, but they are segregated. So on each different floor, in each different group. And so there's no evidence that anyone else was injured that was not in the age group.
Danielle?
What can you say at this time about how school staff responded when the shooting started?
I cannot speak to how the school staff responded. You know, we did have injuries, but it could have always, of course, had additional injuries. I do not know what the school's protocols are. Again, this is a private Christian school. I know that we have a very good rapport with MMSD, Madison Metropolitan Schools, public schools. So we have done trainings for them before, but I would assume that most of the teachers have the same or some similar type of training as a part of their certification.
There's conflicting reports online about how many students are enrolled at the school. Can you confirm approximately how many students attend the school?
I do not know how many students attend the school, but their website says that they serve about 200 families.
Right in the back, White.
What kind of support systems are going to be made available to people who are affected by the attack?
That's a good question. As you heard from our mayor and our county exec, we have services within our government that will be made available to them. I have a lot of confidence that they're going to follow through on that, and we'll make sure that that persons who need to. Do you guys want to speak to that?
So, Dane County Human Services, as well as the Red Cross and other consolidated agencies, are already on scene. And we will continue to be on scene, and those resources will be bolstered. Again, please reach out. You are not alone. We are going to navigate this together, and there are people who are affected by this trauma who are not in the reunification center or at the school. We need folks to be reaching out because we do have resources available.
Do you know if Abundant Christian Life School, did they have a school resource officer employed?
It's not my knowledge that they had a school resource officer. That if they did, it would be a police officer, and I know where they all are, and they're not in the schools right now.
50 in the back there.
So in terms of witnesses that you mentioned about investigation, what is that looking like and how many
Sure.
witnesses are you guys speaking of?
Sure. So the detectives will talk to anyone who may have seen this particular event unfold, anyone that may have been unfortunate to hear something. They will be talking to them. It's my understanding that that's in process now, and everyone is cooperating fully. That will give us an idea of not only what unfolded, but it could answer the question to motivation, because again, the students who unfortunately had to witness this. But that's not something that we want to rush. We're not going to interrogate students. We're going to give them an opportunity to come in and speak to what they may have saw when they feel ready, which is why some of these questions can't be answered right now.
All right, Spectrum Road.
How do you reassure the community that it's still okay to go back to school? I mean, everybody's got kids, and I think, maybe it happened at this school, but there's everybody that's got a kid anywhere, right? This in Dane County, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I think you're asking me, how can I say 100% that no child will ever be harmed in school? I can't. No police chief can. But all I can tell you is that we have systems in place so that if something happens, we can respond like we did today. I can tell you that our mayor and our county exec has committed resources to not only public health, but also mental health. I can tell you that every teacher that I've ever had contact with at MMSD cares deeply about their students. Every staff member, I talk to staff members all the time who tell me things that are going on in the schools and want to do whatever they can, even if it's under anonymity, to let me know that they want to have a safe school. So my reassurance to the public is that if you see something, say something. If you know someone who may be going through a difficult time, please reach out to someone. And I think what I can do is make sure that our police department is transparent and open and honest and inviting for people to call and give information. I think MMSD does an excellent job of that. And the same thing can be said for any other private school. If you want to give information or you need someone to talk to, I can promise you we'll have someone there to get that information.
All right, then.
Understanding that this is a private school you may not be as familiar with, what can you tell us about some of the physical measures that are in place at this school, whether it's metal detectors, secure entryway, cameras, et cetera?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've never been in this school. Unfortunately, I'm not aware that there were metal detectors in the school. That's something that we can certainly look at. Most schools have some form of surveillance or public space cameras, but that will be, of course, part of the investigation process.
Scott?
Chief, can you clarify, you said 7 were injured, but 6 were hospitalized. Does that mean one's been treated at least? And secondly, is the shooter's family cooperating with the investigation?
Yeah, so it's 2 questions, but let me try to handle the first one. So I'm trying to go back to my notes. So we do know that 1 person was pronounced at the scene. And so that may be the 7th person, but we can get you all the information. Just when we're done, I'll have my PIO give that to you so you can report it accurately. And what was your second question?
Is the shooter's family cooperating?
At this time, yes.
So you have made contact with the shooter's family?
We have.
And what were the steps to do that?
It's through the investigative process. Okay.
Lauren?
Is the shooter's home being searched? We've got some information about that is ongoing.
Yes, obviously, once we have identified, we have initiated a search, but we think that search is either ongoing now or that search may be concluded. Of course, it's about safety. That's the first thing, making sure that people are safe, and then we'll go from there. This has been, this has been an amazing day for everyone. And so if you have someone who is deceased, who may have been a shooter, you want to make sure that their family is okay. You don't know. And so that is what we're doing right now. It is about the safety of everyone. This is going to be a long day for the Madison Police Department. We just want some of your patience.
Are you aware, had the school had any prior threats? And then just, jumping off of that, do you know if the shooter had any prior contact with law enforcement?
We do not know that the shooter had any prior contact with law enforcement, but I did do a check of the school. There were some calls, but they were like 911 hang-ups, things of that nature. There was nothing that suggested that the school was a place that violence would occur.
Chief, I know that you mentioned that the shooter died of a self-inflicted gun wound. Did that happen before officers arrived at the school or when the shooter saw officers coming into the school?
Yeah, so let me say that the cause and manner in which the shooter died will be determined by the inmate. But what I can tell you is the shooter was dead upon our arrival, police department arrival, and no officers fired their weapons. Okay?
Lucas?
What are these search warrants you're executing? Are they at the residence on like the device the shooter had?
What do you, I'm sorry.
The extent of the search warrants.
Yeah, so the extent of the search warrant is to be able to go in a place that we don't have permission to be in and make sure that everyone is okay. And then if there's any evidence that we think we need to collect, we could only do that with the use of a search warrant. And so, again, we have to determine if there is evidence that we will need. Everyone wants to know what led up to this. Are there any additional threats to public safety? Is this person or was this person by themselves? There are a lot of questions that we want to answer, but we have to answer the safety questions first, and then we'll move on to some of the more investigative.
What is a home warranty? It's a one-year service plan that helps cover costs.
And we were listening in there for questioning there until that ad began blasting pretty loudly. We may go back listening. Can we turn volume on maybe?
I can't answer that.
I can't.
Right now, it's going
Yeah,
without.
yeah, absolutely.
Some
So
new
the idea
information along
is to
the
create the
second
safest
kind of
environment that
going
we
back
can
and
without
listening
metal detectors.
into
That
this
is
and what that means. So I will just break that down. We'll continue kind of watching this.
During the Christmas holiday, can you address the impact of that? And is the Christmas holiday at all?
Let's just listen back in with full volume. I think that's just going to be best for
Yeah,
us.
so
Just
again, to the question of motivation,
learn
we
what's
don't know why, but to the question of so close to Christmas, we have a lot of people going to be impacted. If it's a Christian school, then obviously our holidays, our Christian holidays are very important to the students, very important. It's a time for family. Students probably getting ready to go out on break, and now the break will be a little less about celebrating Christmas than more about celebrating perhaps friends and loved ones and staff members who perhaps lost their life. That's why I'm asking everyone to, of course, keep Abundant Life Christian School in your thoughts and in your prayers, and we'll get a couple more, okay?
Okay, real quick, Phoebe.
So it's a private school that takes public money through the voucher system. So what has this revealed about maybe gaps in security or training for staff? Is that something you're thinking about whether schools that are private that take public money need to be, kind of on par with public schools when it comes to safety?
Well, what I'm telling you is that in 1997, I began my professional career as a public school teacher. I taught history for 4 years before becoming a police officer. So I did not get far enough to take courses in administration and budgeting of schools. I don't know what governs private schools, if they receive money, where that comes from. That would probably be a question that you would probably need to ask someone who's more intimately involved in the school system and what their requirements are if they do receive that. But you could probably compare what has happened or what goes on, their security measures, with security measures of any school in MMSD, and then that will may give you your answer. That's a very...
One very quick follow-up. As you know, there has been some criticism to other law departments in their response to these school shooting incidents, particularly involving. How did that inform your game plan today, and how quickly were your officers able to get into the school? What were they told to do?
Sure. We train on this, as I spoke about earlier. When officers arrive on the scene, they immediately go in, which we did in this case. Stop the threat, stop the killing, find the killer. That's how we train. And that's exactly what we did today. There's no waiting. There's no coordination of who's in charge. Everyone knows exactly what to do. I spoke about this earlier. We train on this constantly. Our commanders, including the fire chief and I, was in a commander's training less than 2 weeks ago, going over this exact same scenario for another fictional location. And so all of that came into play today, and our officers performed extremely well based on their training and based on the expectations that they know exactly what to do. Stop the threat, stop the killing, find the threat.
All right, I promise with a follow-up. Can we just do one more? Hold on, right here.
Thank you,
Hold on.
all.
Hold on.
I think the questions have been asked, and we're straying a little far from what's most important at this point in time, and that is the victims and their families. I have 3 things to add. First of all, there is a lot that our community can and will do in the coming days to support the victims and their families, and we will have more information at future briefings. If anyone, and I would urge you all to include this in your stories, if anyone needs mental health support as a result of this incident and the coverage of it, I encourage them to reach out to 988 by phone or text and to get the mental health support that they need. It is incredibly important that we take care of our community in this very difficult time. We all have a role in preventing gun violence. Our entire community needs to be part of the solution here. There are many things that we can do, and we can have those conversations in coming days. But first and foremost, what needs to be The priority for all of us is supporting our young people. And that is where our community's attention needs to turn at this point in time. The police department, the fire department, the city, the county will share additional information about the investigation as it becomes available. But I urge you all to help our community find resources to support their mental health and to find resources to support the victims and families at this time. Thank you all.
People go to see your updates. What can you tell them?
It'll be on cityofmadison.com. Me, Stephanie, and Cynthia will stick around and answer any other questions, but that's all.
Let me say just before I go, because the mayor mentioned that this was a whole of government response. It certainly was, and there's so many people that we want to thank. We cannot thank everyone, but it's also a whole of law enforcement response. Even though we are in different agencies, we all have the same training. And so I want to thank our partners with the FBI who are here with me today, partners with the ATF, Dane County Emergency Management. Of course, we already talked about our fire department. We've got calls from the Attorney General of the United States, Wisconsin State Patrol, our governor's office, State Patrol, Monona, as well as our sheriff's office. I know I may have left someone out, but thank you for how you responded, professionally, quickly, and according to the way that we all trained, and it all came together to ensure that no other persons were hurt. Thank you.
Chief, could you just say what time you guys made entry? Just
Okay, that was at that press conference. It appears now those some of those named press.
we'll work on that. So our next.
How long does it take they arrive to the city to be raised?
Okay, we will continue watching that to see if there's any more updates that come from.
Next media briefing. We plan to meet here at 5:30 tonight, and I will work on getting that information.
At 5:30, there will be another update provided by them, as what she just said, right at that same place that they are currently at. We are going to keep watching that. Some news made here inside this briefing. We have learned that the really only option left for why the shooter was dead was only by suicide. That's really the only option left, only because the chief of police said there was no knowledge of an SRO, and that the shooter was found dead by police before police responded, is what that chief of police, Sean Barnes, kind of insinuated there. It's said to be a governmental response among the entire government that all responded to this incident and are all working together now going forward, what this looks like there. So pretty interesting there. We heard from Satcher Rhodes Conway, the mayor of Madison, Wisconsin, and Chris Carbon, the fire chief. A lot going on there. The biggest update I think we heard was that a teacher and a teenage student were killed in this incident. No threats are said or were said to be on any other MMSD schools, and the shooter was said to be a student. Other news we learned included that the shooter used an handgun, or a hand, not the student did not, the student shooter, the suspected student shooter did not use a handgun, but a handgun was recovered. I'm sorry. Let me just restart that entire thing. It's not said that the shooter used this handgun, but a handgun was recovered that's kind of been insisted to be the shooter's weapon, which the Associated Press reports is a 9mm handgun. Nor 200 families are said to have been served. 400 students are also said to have been served at this school. We are going to continue following all of this breaking news. If any major updates come, you can follow all of our social media pages for that at the bottom of your screen there. Take a look there at that. That's at Schools Pass, my social media pages there. But for now, that is going to do it for me on this special coverage, as we've been following this all live here in Brooklyn, Arkansas on at BNHQ. I'm Jackson Mitchell. Have a beautiful rest of your evening.